I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Carden, and I'm so excited to be back with you again this week because we are in a new year. We're in 2023, and you are going to love my guest today. She is such an expert. She has been in her industry for 29 plus years, and I'm just so thrilled to interview her. So Laurie Schloff, welcome to my show.
Oh, it is so great to be here. Happy 2023.
I know. Can you believe it? It's come so quickly.
Wow. It is true. The longer you live, the faster things go.
Oh gosh, don't even talk about that.
Yeah,
but
I won't go there.
Happy to be here with you in this new year. And I just want to introduce Laurie. First of all, she is a public speaking coach and she's a leadership communication expert. And she even has some friends that call her the speech queen, which I love. I think that's so cute. So, Laurie, you have been doing this for so long, and that's why I knew I had to have you on my show. How did you get into public speaking as a coach and also being a leadership communication expert? What's your story? Share that with us.
The story. Well, it's wonderful to be focused on something for your whole career. I always say it's because I didn't have many other talents. And, you know, it is true. Sometimes people have so many talents, it's hard to know where to focus. So from a very early age, Anne, I was very interested in human beings and how they talk to each other. So psychology and communication. I was also very interested in being out there. I tend to always have had a pretty expressive personality.
Well, you can tell she's very personable and she's very charismatic. So yes, keep going.
Thank you so much. And then I didn't know about business. So what happened is my role model in high school, who happened to be my high school boyfriend's sister, majored in speech pathology. So I started out learning sort of the technical things about speech. And I actually did work in the field of speech pathology for about 10 years. I worked with little kids. I worked with adults who had issues. I worked in a mental health clinic, organizing groups for parents. And then 5 years into my career, taught at Northeastern University as a clinical supervisor. By then, I think we're still only in my late 20s because
wow.
I was young for for what I had accomplished. I said to myself, I think I'm interested in business and being an entrepreneur, which you and a lot of listeners can relate to.
For sure.
The field of corporate communication coaching was so new. There was hardly anything going on, but I managed to get a hold of two people who were like a generation ahead of me, and went to them with ideas. So that's a hint for people coming to people who you'd like to mentor you with ideas, and that's what started things. Within 1 year, I had left Northeastern University. Had built a practice. And again, the timing was good. I'm not just going to say it was because I was so good, but within 1 year, I'm only going to brag because I know your audience cares about this. I had doubled my income.
That's incredible. Yes.
Yeah. I haven't really said that on any other podcast, but I know you have business people.
This is a business show. That's right.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I all at once. I think it was 1993 or something. I wrote my first book, Smart Speaking, and I always joke the sequel should be Stupid Speaking, right? Because smart speaking, stupid.
I think there's a 2023 goal for you.
Exactly. Believe me, I'm sure that would really be a hit.
It would be. Yes.
And through that, I did some of the things that I love doing. I love doing stuff like this, podcasts and media. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to say, because of the book, the publisher sent you all around, and I ended up being on the Weekend Today show, and I was on the Oprah Winfrey show.
Were you?
Yes,
oh my goodness! I have a celebrity in my midst.
Yep,
I'm so honored. That's amazing.
Yeah, she had a show called "I Don't Like the Way I Sound," so I have the dubious distinction of curing someone of whining on national television. Go figure. But I love what I do. So on a daily basis, I'm either working with individuals, high power people, or high potential who want to be more effective in some way. Often it's for a particular conference or an event, but sometimes it's their overall style. I call it the twos, TOO. They're too quiet or they're too strong.
I love it. I love it.
And they want to modulate.
Yes.
I also love working with teams as well.
Mm-hmm. So how did you, Laurie, you got a mentor, right? So this is really good information for anyone who's thinking about starting a business and all of that. You went and you found someone to mentor you, which is always the fastest path. We know that, which is why the coaching industry exploded, right? And consulting exploded.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, it's just so amazing how many people are coaches. And I think it's a godsend to the world.
I agree.
Because it's a way we are helpful to each other. Now, my brand of coaching is very, very specific. So I never say just that I'm a coach. I always say I'm a communication coach, a speech, communication, and leadership. And I don't even say leadership coach. I say leadership communication coach.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And so you really have done what people need to do, which is really be specific and not be a generalist, which is what a lot of people try to do out there in the world. And what all of your expertise and everything, it is what has really catapulted you forward because of the way you've packaged yourself. How did you learn how to do that? Did your mentor kind of help you package and decide what you were going to sell? Because that is ultimately what we have to start with in this industry. So how did you learn that?
Gosh, you're probably going to kill me, but I think mostly I use intuitive marketing. And what I mean by that is I get a feeling about something. For example, let's say I did a big program for Allstate. They actually happen to be one of my clients, Allstate Insurance. And I met someone, let's say I met a lot of people at some sort of networking event. My marketing intuition tells me it would be good to follow up with A, B, and C. And like everyone else, we need an N in our lives to push us. Honestly, I don't know that many people who love the follow-up. I love it when things come, things come to me. But my mentor, whose name is Dennis Becker, he doesn't let a moment go by without having a list of 100 people he wants to contact. And he's able to motivate himself to do it. So I've been fortunate that business has come to me at the pace that I want. I do believe we do tend to receive what we put out there in terms of what we want. Let me give you an example. Right now in my career, I love working with leaders, people who are really out there. But I think one of the reasons that's come to me is because of the stage of my career I'm in.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know. I definitely push back on me. Maybe I do more than intuition. Maybe I do, but I don't realize I don't structure it as I think I should.
Well, I think one thing that is super, super important to understand is when you have been in the industry for as long as you have, and you've really built your entire career around this skill set and this expertise. I know when you and I, talked before the show to kind of discuss topics and everything. One of the things that you said is you just get a lot of referrals. And even once you get into an organization, they'll pass you down to another area of that organization. And so that business can just continue to go. And, that is something that is a little bit different in a corporate setting than if you were just working with individuals or businesses. Is they have a big organization. So they have different divisions and different places where they could utilize your skill set. So that is a really kind of a perk of getting into a corporate atmosphere and doing very well.
You're absolutely right. I'll tell you another perk, but there's a funny downside to it. The other perk is, let's face it, more than ever, people are leaving organizations. Okay.
Correct.
So that means they go to a whole new company.
And then they get to have you there.
they may think of me, but I know, for example, now I have a list, during and post or maybe a little bit pre-COVID of people who've left this and that place. Mm-hmm. Now, the only downside, my referral source has said with a sense of humor, they got too good. Thanks a lot. They left.
Wow.
I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny.
Don't share that. You won't get jobs. I make your people so good they leave.
Exactly. No, I better have another tagline.
Yeah, I think so. But, there's also, you kind of hit on something too, because if they do leave and go to another company, for example, you could potentially also now become their coach and their communication expert inside of that new company. So this is really how the whole corporate environment works. So it's very different from like business and, just working in the professional space. But I love that we're talking about this. This really wasn't going to be about your business, but now that we've kind of opened that door, It's been fun to talk about. But let's talk about your expertise and your skill set and let you share some of that with my listeners as well. So what are some of the main things that you help people with that you feel like everyone should know how to do this? Everyone should learn these skills. I know speaking has been a skill that has allowed me to build all of my businesses. It's always how I got things off the ground. It's always how I grew them. So my husband says I have the gift of gab. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
so you're always comfortable. You're always.
Yes. Yeah, I love to have conversations. I love to talk. Now, don't get me wrong. I watch a lot of things back, always critiquing myself. And I think, oh gosh, I so could have done that better. Right. Or you'll say something wrong and you'll be like, oh no, I can't believe I said it that way. But what are the things that you think people need and that you really teach over and over again that would be helpful?
Sure, because I know we don't have tons of time. What I try to do is to form a list, like a really practical list of the skills that, in my opinion, based on research and my experience, are very, very important. But I do want to ask you one follow-up question to what you said before about your comfort level. Does that comfort level also apply, and when you are asked to give a talk, let's say a 20-minute talk?
Yes.
You're always comfortable.
Yeah. So, now, does that mean I don't get nervous? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I am always comfortable.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I have to analyze your brain.
I was going to say, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Oh, that's a fantastic thing. Now, then this doesn't apply to you. There is a difference between, let's say, a comfort and being effective. For example, you can be nervous and effective, comfortable and effective. Of course, that's what we want. The research is indicating that the two things you want to have come across when you're presenting, and when I say presenting, yes, we are thinking of talking to a group, but we can be thinking of any time you open your mouth professionally, really. But the two ingredients that keep coming up, maybe even more for women than men, are warmth, being able to project approachability, and also competence. How do you project competence? Those two ingredients keep coming up. Now, speaking of ingredients, and in a minute I'll get into the 5 areas. Speaking of ingredients, one of the first things that my team and I ask people to do is think of, how do you want to come across?
Great question.
And we ask them to narrow it down to 2 words, and we call those style words. So, for example, my style words are approachable and expert.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to
Love it.
live up to my words. Let's say I'm in a grumpy mood, and everyone has their bad days. I haven't lived up to that.
Yeah.
So one way to look at it is, and your listeners can do this, is think of a word you already are that people appreciate. You're already successful. And then maybe one that's aspirational.
That's great. Great advice. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay.
Good
So
stuff.
the five elements, I think these might surprise you that they're in a way very observable. The first one is called fluency. Fluency is the flow, the smooth flow of words. So having good fluency is saying things in an organized way with the right words, with the right speed and pace. And pace is the amount of stuff you say in the time you have. Now, I'm going to give an interesting example. Barack Obama, President Obama, rose to national fame because he was excellent at public speaking. In fact, he made people's jaw drop at the Democratic National Convention when he was a senator. Now, when he was at press conferences, on the other hand, when he became president, he was somewhat disfluent. In fact, I don't do stuff like this, but there's people in my field who counted his ums and ahs. One press conference had 256 ums and ahs. So we're not all one thing, and it is okay to be less than smooth or unsmooth sometimes, or just say and ah. I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but you want to know your stuff well enough so that you can have a very smooth flow. And sometimes if you're an expert in something, it's just having 5 words on a piece of paper, right?
Right. It's simple.
So fluency. Number 2 is what we call vocal variety, the ability to use your voice as a tool for holding meaning and holding attention. So right now, I'm not using any vocal variety. And after a while, we get pretty dull to listen to. And I work with a lot of people, not to stereotype, but a lot of tech people, engineers, scientists. They're brilliant, but their passion for their work isn't coming across. So here's the rule, and this is what we practice with clients. 1 word in every sentence should jump out in terms of pitch and volume.
Okay.
So Anne is a great leader. And we don't have that much going on. It's a crazy world out there with all sorts of things competing with us. So we have to use the tools we have. Now, the good thing is once you become a good speaker, you don't need a lot of equipment. You bring yourself everywhere.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, this is so true. And by the way, I'm taking notes because this is gold. Even though I've been doing this for many, many years, I always feel like, oh my gosh, I can learn so much. And I do continue to learn so much in speaking. So love this.
Well, probably what you're doing is you're already doing these things and we're giving you a label. That's another goal of coaching is people can already be effective at something. So the coach helps you to say, you have really good vocal variety, Anne. And that feels good. I'm validating something but you never labeled it in your mind because it came naturally to you.
True. Okay. I love this. Keep going.
So number 3, very important everywhere, but especially in our virtual world, is a range of facial expression. So as you can imagine, everyone in my field was on a mission to help people to come across halfway decently on virtual communication. And there's still a lot of people I'm just seeing like half their face, and after 3 nudges, I don't know, I sort of stay out of it. But we do view it as a mission. So,
and that's a whole different thing as well. That people really had to learn a brand new skill set
when everything got shut down, and speakers and communication coaches.
So much to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
much to learn. The framing, the great background like you have, looking at the camera. And then again, if we're saying that warmth and approachability is important, what is your face saying?
Right.
What is your face saying? Hey, though maybe you do want to look extremely serious. I'm not going to choose the style words for my client.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the range of facial expression is important. So that's number 3. Number 4, say interesting things. And I'm going to give you 2 ways to say interesting things. They both begin with an E. One is share experiences / stories.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, share editorials. What do I mean by that? Give your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
There's an expression: to get the fruit off a tree, you have to go out on a limb. Don't be routine, especially you folks who have experience. I remember a guy from a leader at Mass Mutual, another insurance company. And he said to me, Tom so-and-so has great potential, but he doesn't seem to have a point of view.
Right.
He's always quoting other people.
Yes. I talk about that in marketing all the time.
Oh, do you?
You have to be a thought leader. You want people following you so that they see you as the expert and the authority. And that's exactly what you're talking about here. Don't just regurgitate other people's stuff. Have an opinion. Yes. Right.
So, for example, if I said to your listeners, how did you get into the current role you're in, which is a question you asked me. How can you tell it like a story in an interesting way?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And have a point of view. So, for example, if you said to me, Laurie, is nervousness about speaking a sign that you don't have confidence? I need to have a point of view on that. Maybe I have colleagues who believe something different. I personally believe, and I'm comfortable saying, is you can be a confident person, but not confident about speaking. And you can be a great speaker, but not a person with high self-esteem. I've met some of those people.
Well, the whole imposter syndrome is probably that people have coined that phrase. It's probably a good example of that, right?
Exactly. So there's I'm just giving 2 ways to be interesting.
Sure.
My clients, there's a whole variety of ways to be interesting, but being able to be good at sharing an experience and giving an editorial are 2 things people can think about and build into their repertoire.
This is excellent.
Thank you. I appreciate the validation. And then number 5 is somewhat related, which is look at the time you have to present to people. And sometimes I know, Anne, it can be a very short time for your clients, right?
Right.
Yeah. Can you show a range of emotions and a range of personality? Can you be serious? Can you be humorous? See, it accomplishes 2 things. One is they get to know you better, right? And secondly, again, you're holding their interest more by not being one note.
Yes. Outstanding.
Yeah. And so the last thing I'll say, I'll relate what I just said, range of emotions, to your style words. You could pick one style word that's more emotional, like enthusiastic, and you could pick one that's more serious, more logical.
The only problem I have with what you're saying, Laurie, is 2 words. Really? That's all I get?
I know. I tend to be a little liberal with that, but if it's all over the place, because you're into, in my field, I don't tend to use the word brand, but it's fine. We can't be so many different things.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. No, it's true. I was just thinking, when you were talking about your words being approachable and expert, I was thinking, oh, I like those words. I would say that those could be my words too. But then when you talked about enthusiastic, that's also one of my words. So that's why I said, do I have to really pick 2?
You're allowed. You're right. You're allowed 3.
I love this. This is great. These are great takeaways for people and so helpful to really look at this. So this is the framework that you really work with when you're helping.
So what I do, I love customizing. It's great for the client. It keeps my brain busy. So let's just say it's an individual. I'll do a whole assessment. I'm a little bit like a speech doctor in that way. What's going well? What would you like to improve? Then, of course, I carefully listen. We may involve other people in giving input, like a 360.
Perfect.
And then we come up with a goal plan. So that I get from my speech pathology background, where we had to, way back when we had all sorts of goal plans for clients. So that kind of very structured approach where the client and I are accountable for making progress on the goals is very important. So it's very specific. And sort of the same thing if it's a group, like I'll listen carefully to what the group's needs are. Like I'm working with a hospital type of setting, and I'll say, what are the issues? What would you like people to get better at? And then come up with some ideas. So you do have to be good at feeding back to people what it is that they feel they need in a way they can understand.
Right. One of the things I always talked about when people are looking for corporate clients is when you're having that conversation and you're doing that assessment, is to co-create a solution with them. So you're getting their buy-in all the way. This is what they feel like they need. This is what you can offer that would help them with everything that they need. So I love that you're kind of saying the same thing.
Right. I'm writing down co-create a solution.
There you go.
I'm taking that phrase.
There you go. I love this. So Laurie, how do you, when you are working, let's say an individual, because I know teams can take a little bit more time, but how do you, when you are working with an individual, how are your services structured? How long do you typically work with them? Can you talk a little bit more about the logistics of your business?
Sure. I love designing programs that are comfortable for people, meaning schedule-wise, budget-wise.
Right.
But I'll give you a ballpark. So someone who wants to enhance their presentation skills or their communication style or leadership communication, I would say the average amount of hours would be around 12 to 15, at least for level 1 to accomplish things. And I do believe in chunked learning, meaning my sessions are 50 minutes to 1 hour at a time.
Okay.
Individuals. And I like to be respectful of their very busy schedules and attention span as well.
Right.
In between sessions, I'm one of these people who I really like texts. So they sometimes text me about how something went or with a question. So that's sort of unlimited.
Great.
And each session begins with, tell me how you feel things went last week. What's going on for you this week? And you know how life is. You have to be flexible. All of a sudden, they might have some big thing coming up that I didn't know about till that day. So being flexible is important.
When you work with them, how do you really look at their skill set and how they're presenting, how they're speaking? What is sort of your process to do that with them? Do you have a software that you use? Do you look at recordings of things that they've done? How do you kind of coach them?
Well, I would say that there's several different ways. One is expert observation. A lot of people do not have videos of themselves. Right. But if they do, I will look at that. Sometimes they'll give, a sample of something that they might be working on. Two, I listen to them. And again, just like an experienced doctor can tell a problem in 10 minutes, that's all I need. I do not need more than 10 minutes to see what someone, needs to work on. Importantly, especially if you're dealing with a corporate referral, you need to listen to what the referring source says. And hopefully there's a good agreement between what that person is concerned about and what you're noticing. Yeah, no, that's great advice as well. So, yeah. Okay. And Then there could be an invitation sometimes to observe someone in a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be live observation. That would be fantastic, though it's not always possible.
Right. Do you work with people all over the country or all over the
All
world?
over the world.
All over the world. Okay. So a lot of what
Yeah.
you do is through Zoom, or do you do a lot of traveling, Laurie?
Well, pre-COVID, yes. Now I am 90% virtual. And guess
Ooh,
what?
don't you love it?
Very rare that clients are asking me to travel. Now, again, maybe I'm attracting what I want because I like virtual coaching,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not getting asked to go here and there. I mean, there is a possibility that I'll be going to coach people for a big conference
Uh-huh.
for a company in the automobile industry. And that would be in person as well as virtual. So
Right.
I guess I do hybrid coaching, right?
Yes, I love it.
Preparing people virtually and then seeing them in person, if possible. But, I get to know people pretty well. Like I feel like I know most of my virtual clients pretty well if I've been coaching them for a while, but sometimes it's humorous. I met a client in Manhattan last year. She thought I'd be tall. I thought she was small. She was 5'10" and I'm 5'1". So it was literally the opposite.
That's funny. Well, before we had, the luxury of Zoom and you could see everybody and we had all the social media, it was really interesting when we did more things by phone. I can't tell you how many times I would be shocked when I would see someone in person because we'd have conversations on the phone all the time, but then to not really get to see them, to meet with them, it was always humorous because they never looked like their voice. They never looked like you imagine they did. Yeah.
Right. That was funny. Like a controlled experiment in non-verbal versus nonverbal.
That's true. So I love everything that you're doing, Laurie. Do you, when you are working with a client, for example, do you offer to work with their teams? Does that naturally flow? If you bring on let's say a CEO or somebody high level, do they automatically ask you to work with their teams too? Or how does that happen?
Let's put it this way. It's a hierarchy of what you hope happens, right?
Right.
What you hope happens is organically they say, Joe Schmo and Susie Q could benefit, or we have a conference coming up. So that's what you hope happens. Okay. Then the next tier is, I would call it planting seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I'm working with Jim and Jim has alluded to some meeting. I might say, gosh, a lot of folks who are presenting at these annual meetings really do benefit from having the practice and preparation. So planting a seed. And then some people are very successful at being very direct. I'd love to coach people for the annual meeting. If that comes up as a possibility. In other words, once they like you, you don't have that much to lose. However, you have to be careful. If they're paying the big bucks for your attention, they hate it, right? If they think you're spending a lot of time marketing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Yeah. It should feel really like a natural fit and a natural flow. I love this. How did you get your first client? So you talked about a member. A member. You talked about a mentor, but how did you get that first client? And you're working with some pretty big companies. I mean, Allstate Insurance, and you've done some fairly good work there.
Right. The way I got, and I know one of my early clients was really big, based in Boston, the Gillette company, right?
Oh, nice.
What could be,
so that puts you on the map.
Yeah. So, hey, people may not want to hear this. I had to do some grunt stuff like Saturday classes for little or no money. But guess what? The guy from Gillette took the class.
Nice.
And brought me into the company. So the way doing freebies, and I was fortunate. I was brought on to the company that my mentor had established. And the timing was good. They wanted a young coach like me and they had clients they were comfortable referring to me. So some of it's timing, but even when the timing isn't great, if you become good at something, there has to be a way for people to want to be coached by you.
Right. I love it. So, Laurie, you've seen the industry really explode now. Speaking and communication coaches and leadership
field,
coaches. Yeah. Yes. How have you kind of what's happened for you in that explosion of competition, and has that affected you at all? Or
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I'm not athletic, so I wish I was, because I love competition. It just gets things going, it gets the juices going. So that's one part.
It makes us better.
It does. It totally. I mean, if you lose to a different company, figure out what was wrong, what was lacking in the style match.
Right.
And I have had people bluntly say, we liked you as much as so-and-so, but so-and-so, there's some minor reason. They're 10 miles closer. I don't know,
Right.
But then the other thing, so the name of my company is Partners in Communication. And maybe you can comment on this. I don't know if it's the stage of career I'm in. I love partnering, even if it's just to be linked in with people in my field. I love seeing what they're doing. And I love knowing that there's a trust there, that, let's say a big project came up, there might be folks that I've interacted with who are in my field that I could call on with a question, et cetera. So I love the idea. I think, we're not in silos anymore.
Right. Absolutely.
And I don't have the answer to the question. Okay. Isn't that sweet to partner? Okay. So how does everyone do really well? So can you have partnering and competition?
I absolutely believe you can. Yes.
Okay.
And I also do think that we all have our own unique styles, our own unique way of doing things. And so I don't really ever look that you have competition. I think people are going to choose what feels like the best fit for them. And they're going to resonate with some people more than other people. There's going to be certain nuances that they're going to look for in someone over someone else. And so I don't really believe that we're actually competitors. Well, a lot of people might not agree with that, but I'm so different from other people in my industry that as long as you can show that, as long as people can see that and they can see the differences, I think that's where our responsibility is in our brand, in our marketing, and everything that we're doing, is to get those differences out there.
Right. I like what you're saying. Also, though, if we want to build a great business, we have to be pretty desirable to the most possible potential clients, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So
I love this.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
Well, on that note, so some of that is communication. When you are being interviewed by someone who may want to hire you, how great are you at coming across as approachable and competent, and I call it persuasive listening in a way that helps them to feel you're totally tuned into their needs.
That's perfect. And you actually, we didn't talk about this, or I don't think you brought this up, but you actually have a psychology degree.
No, actually, my degree's in speech, but I did say I'm very interested in psychology and all sorts of advanced. For example, I just took a certificate course in resiliency because I thought it would be helpful to my clients who are going through hard times or have a fear of speaking. Yeah. So, but I definitely think psychology is a huge part of communication. Let's face it.
Right. It is.
Really
No, for some reason I was thinking you had a degree in that, but I do remember you talking about the psychology piece of it. And yeah, there's so much. I think that there's so much that goes into speaking and communication that is psychological, and even the way we're looking at other people, there's some psychology there too, and what yeah, how we're viewing other people.
Yeah,
So this has been so great. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you all day.
We could probably gab all day, the two of us, right?
I know. Get two people speaking together. You know how that goes.
Speaking about speaking, meta communication, right?
I love it. I love it. So, Laurie, what would you like to share with my listeners that they can get from you, or a way that they can go deeper with you? What is something that you have?
Sure. Well, they're more than welcome to contact me and set up a 15 to 20-minute complimentary consultation. I'd love to get to know you, see how I could be helpful.
Okay.
And I don't know how you work that. You probably put it on your website.
We'll put it in the show notes. Yes, absolutely. But I still like you to give that pitch. And
then two other things. As a legacy project, I wanted to come out with a program to help people control their fear of speaking. It's low cost to begin with, but for your listeners, Anne, it would be free. So I sent over a free link to a program, an online course, really, a course called Conquer Your Fear of Speaking. It's videos from me, activities, it's fun, it's gamified, and it focuses on getting physical comfort, thinking confidently, and making a connection with your audience, the 3 C's.
Fantastic. I love it.
That's for free for your listeners.
Thank
you.
And
also I sent along, because it's such a big thing, how to explain complex information clearly. I sent over an article that.
Oh, and you work in tech and in engineering, and they typically struggle with that. How to bring things down to a level that people understand. So I love that. That's excellent.
I sent it over. It was in a medical health outlook, but trust me, it applies to a lot of different professions.
Okay. I can't wait to get a hold of that. That's awesome. That's one of the things that I help people do in their marketing as well, is, and in closing sales, even being able to close sales, is to not be so technical and not talk over people's heads. And
fantastic. Okay. Well, maybe we can repurpose it for your clients.
Oh, that would be fantastic. So, Laurie, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and everything that you're doing. And, again, you're just such an expert at over 29 years doing this, making a lifelong career of this. So you clearly know your stuff, and it's been just my honor to interview you and have you on my show.
My pleasure. It was delightful.
Thank you.
Great communicator.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, now that's just a huge compliment. So thank you. All right, everyone, until next week, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you like the show, subscribe to the show, connect with Laurie. She's on LinkedIn, which is actually how I met Laurie. And so you can find her out there, and then also check the show notes to grab those free resources. And if you have a need for her services, reach right out to her. So thank you again. Honored that you were here for another episode of Expert in You podcast, and we'll talk next week. God bless. If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business, and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.